And it's not just from the political angle, because you can get that on other platforms, but it's always from the biblical angle. So you're dealing with a guy that loves Jesus, you're dealing with a guy that's very intelligent, you're dealing with a guy that is cutting edge conservatism, and you're dealing with a guy that wants to be biblical all at the same time. And so for that reason alone, I hope many, many people will not just lift up his ministry in prayer, but will also financially get behind it, because from the angle I'm trying to describe, he really is the only game in town. And we desperately need it in these last days. Can I get an amen to that?
You're watching Worldview 2, built on the 35 years of Worldview books, documentaries, research, high-profile interviews, and the radio and television broadcasts of Brannon Howse.
Today. Now, we don't endorse candidates. We can't do that due to our classifications, but we can certainly talk about the issues, help you be informed, and then encourage you to go vote your conscience. But this is a big election today in Wisconsin, and it's one that everybody in the country should be paying close attention to, because it will impact every one of you that is hearing my voice today. Because if you have the Supreme Court in Wisconsin make one decision over another related to voter ID and redistricting, then you're talking about who controls the White House, who controls Congress. You're talking about how many members of each party are represented as you redistrict. So this is a big deal in Wisconsin today. I want to talk a little bit about that. Of course, open up the phone lines about it, as well as some other things in the news as well. Here's an article over at my friend Pamela Geller's website. Milwaukee officials handle ballots in secret back rooms with no observer access in critical Wisconsin Supreme Court race. Are they really already involved in things they shouldn't be doing? Well, the article says the Wisconsin Supreme Court race is no local, inconsequential election in a battleground state. That's right. Quote, the Supreme Court election is ground zero. Every conservative voice should be sounding the alarm. End quote. The Democrats are trying to redraw the districts in Wisconsin to remove 2 House seats. That's what this whole Supreme Court justice race is about. So I really want to emphasize to people out there, if you're in Wisconsin, get out and vote, end quote. I'm not going to finish the rest of who he's telling you to vote for, because that's not what we do here. But that was Elon Musk. Elon Musk, I saw a video, was in Green Bay the other night. Wisconsin, you're getting a lot of national attention today. And apparently, some members of Congress and the Senate and the House and the Senate are openly admitting that they want to see this race go a certain direction so they can redraw these lines and then steal 2 House seats and maybe change the balance of power. Yeah. That's over at Worldview report.com, your daily aggregated news site. We put that up over there. There's a great article today also at The Federalist. The Federalist has a great article out today. In a Supreme Court election, Wisconsin voters will decide voter ID question. While Wisconsin Supreme Court election is in the national spotlight, there's an important election integrity issue on Tuesday's ballot as well. So there are 2 big issues, folks, in the state of Wisconsin that will impact every one of us in the country. Because we're talking about, well, Wisconsin being a swing state. We're talking about the Electoral College here. The Federalist goes on to state, in fact, election law watchdogs will tell you that the Supreme Court race and referendum on enshrining the Badger State's voter ID law into Wisconsin Constitution go hand in hand. Quote, they really are bound together in this election. That's what Annette Olson, chief executive officer of the Madison-based McIver Institute, said. She told the Federalist. The conservative think tank has been advocating for the election integrity ballot question for years. It's taken a while to get here. Proposed amendments to the state's constitution must be approved in 2 consecutive sessions of the legislature. The Republican-controlled Assembly and Senate have passed the measure twice. Now the question is in the hands of the voters. Ballot questions do not require the approval of the governor, which would have been the death knell for the voter ID provision. Democrat Governor Tony Evers, a dutiful servant of the far left, surely would have vetoed it, says the writer. Here's the question on the ballot for those going to vote today in Wisconsin. Quote, shall Section 1M of Article 3 of the Constitution be created to require that voters present valid photographic identification verifying their identity in order to vote in any election, subject to exceptions which may be established by law, end quote. If voters approve the Wisconsin Constitution, will state that, quote, no qualified elector may cast a ballot in any election unless the elector presents valid photographic identification that verifies the elector's identity and that is issued by this state, the federal government, a federally recognized American Indian tribe, or band in this state, or a college or university in this state, end quote. The article says that voters who aren't able to present a valid photographic ID on election day will be allowed to cast a provisional ballot. But valid ID must ultimately be presented in order for the ballot to count. Well, obviously, President Trump is watching this. He tweeted out today, Wisconsin, there's a very important referendum, question 1 on the ballot to amend the state constitution to require voter ID. This and other election integrity measures, including banning drop boxes and same-day voting with paper ballots, can only happen if you get out and vote today. And he's throwing his weight behind a certain candidate running for Supreme Court and claiming that there's a radical leftist with a history of letting child molesters and rapists off easy. So, he's calling on the folks in Wisconsin to get out and vote. 2 big issues today: voter ID being enshrined in the state's constitution, and the Supreme Court of Wisconsin, which you know is going to be making rules and regulations related to redrawing the district lines. So there you go. Wisconsin, the eyes of the nation are on you today. We'll get your thoughts on this. We open the phone lines. Saw a very interesting article over at Yahoo, Associated Press today. Here was the headline: White House abruptly fires career Justice Department prosecutors in latest norm-shattering move. Well, the headline is so biased. Again, you have to ask yourself, is the AP still getting money from somewhere in the deep state to put out deceptive, lying headlines? Were they offering up this kind of headline during the 4 years of the Biden regime? When it comes to norm-shattering moves, you mean like using the DOJ as your jackbooted thugs for a political party? Going after moms at school board meetings? Going after pro-lifers, Christians, Catholics that go to the Latin Mass? Listing them through the DOJ, overseeing the FBI as potential domestic terrorists? Where was the norm-shattering move headline from the Associated Press then. I think we all know why these groups got money. I think we all know why they were being paid USAID money. In fact, the article said, the recent firings of career Justice Department lawyers by the White House is a sign of President Trump's tightening grip over the law enforcement agency known for its long tradition of political independence, end quote. Really, AP? Did the Biden regime leave the DOJ alone? During those 4 years, did it have political independence? No, we all know that's not true. The DOJ, using the FBI and other agencies, concocted their Russia collusion during the Obama years. And then during the Biden years, they continued that. And they used the DOJ, and they used people from the DOJ that they shipped over to other places. Oh, I don't know, maybe like to other state attorney general's offices or prosecutors' offices to go after Donald Trump, go after electors. Really, the AP, the Associated Press, I guess they believe the average American is so misinformed, so brainwashed, that the average American would read this headline and read the first paragraph and now believe that Donald Trump is a dictator in waiting. He wants to take the long-standing political independence of the DOJ and tighten his grip around it for his own gain. And do you know how many Americans will believe this? Do you know how many, I hate to say it, you know how many baby boomers are buying this? Because a lot of them still get their news from the traditional news sources. They still read the papers. They still watch cable news. They will believe it. They will buy it. Now, there's a lot of them that have awakened and they're not buying it anymore. And you would think that groups that just got their money cut off from USAID would try to now become real, legitimate outlets for news and information in order to increase their viewership, their readership, because apparently they have to now compete in the market of free enterprise. That is unless, of course, these rulings by the federal judges have restored this USAID funding for the time period, and maybe the gravy train is still going. But at some point, these groups are going to have to make it based on actually producing something that an audience wants to learn about, read about, and be informed about. One of the biggest mistakes that you can make in marketing, in my opinion, is not having a demographic that you are seeking to serve. We have a demographic. Long ago, we decided we were going to offer up news and information and programming to people interested in how a Christian worldview applies to all areas of life. We decided that we were going to go after a more intelligent audience, not an audience that was easily emotionally manipulated or energized by something that's an inch deep and a mile wide. And when they do that, they thought, well, we'll attract a much bigger audience by keeping it simple. Howse, he gets too deep. He uses big words like Fabian socialism and communitarianism and postmodernism, and nobody can keep up with that. So we'll keep it real simple and attract an audience. And I said, go do that. There's plenty of you doing that. What we're going to do is go for thinkers. Readers are leaders. Now, let me ask you this. Who's reading this garbage by the AP? We'll be right back. We're not changing courses now. We are who we are. We're committed to the truth that we are committed to. Worldview Tube is a broadcast network that I started in 2006, but it's based on my 35 years as an author and speaker and commentator. Worldview Tube is here to defend the truth of a Christian worldview. And we believe we can apply it to all areas of life, like law, science, economics, history, family, social issues, education, religion, major issues.
At worldviewtube.com, we provide news from around the globe that isn't typically covered by mainstream media. Visit worldviewtube.com to watch our experts and analysts discuss all your favorite topics on our 24/7 live stream. Explore our extensive collection of unfiltered and uncensored content from 35 years of production. Go to worldviewtube.com today. Also find us on all of these major platforms and download our Worldview Tube mobile app.
All right, welcome back. Glad you're with us. Worldview Radio website, worldviewradio.com, worldviewradio.com. Couple housekeeping issues. Number one, we will be in Milwaukee. Is that a week from this Tuesday, Logan? Wait, today's Tuesday. It's 2 weeks from today. 2 weeks from today, we will be in Milwaukee. We will be, Lord willing, at the Waukesha Expo Center. That's if we don't get run over. Can I dare say it? That's if we don't get run over and killed on our way there by a truck driver who cannot read the signs and cannot read English and is not proficient in driving a big rig on U.S. highways. Yeah. As if we didn't have something, like we needed something else to worry about. Now you have to be worried that the guys driving those gigantic 18-wheelers are not from America and cannot read the signs and are not really proficient and shouldn't be driving here. I would like to know about their trucks, too, by the way. Have their trucks gone through the same safety checks as ours? Are they being allowed? I don't know the answer to this, but I do know at one time my friend Phyllis Slapley was warning about Mexican trucks coming over the border and being driven on our interstates. But I do know, I'm about to play for you a clip of drivers that are here that are not Americans that are being given the ability to drive on the interstate. So, Lord willing, I say, we will be in Wisconsin 2 weeks from tonight unless we are taken out by an 18-wheeler on our way up there by somebody that has no business driving on our streets and roads and interstates. Because I'm serious. If you guys have ever been on a scene of a crash that involves a car or cars and an 18-wheeler, this is not good. I'll get to that in just a minute. But Lord willing, that's why I say it, we'll be there 2 weeks from tonight. We have over 1,000 people registered by phone so far and online. The quickest, most efficient way is please do it online if you can. Worldviewtube.com/events, worldviewtube.com/events. Please also register each and every individual you're bringing with you. You can use the same email over and over, but register each individual by name so we have a chair for them. So we can count them in our total and put out enough chairs, all right? I'll be there. Dr. Andy Woods will be there. Aaron Lavarco from Israel will be there. He's already here in the States, as you know. And I was thinking today, what am I going to talk about? I'm starting to sketch an outline, but 2 weeks is a long time, folks. A lot's happening in the world, but I have started an outline. And whatever it is, you're going to be happy you were there to hear it. You're going to be happy you were there to hear it. All right. Worldviewtube.com/events. Now, one other housekeeping issue. We are going, I want you to mark it on your calendar, our national conference, October 3rd and 4th. That's a Friday night and a Saturday. We moved it to the Mid-South, Collierville, Tennessee here, just outside of Memphis. Nice middle-class community. Just like Waukesha, right? Nice community. A safe community. Well, Collierville and Waukesha are very similar, okay? So you'll be fine. Come on to Memphis. Don't believe all the PR stuff, all the things they say about Memphis. They say the same things about Kansas City and St. Louis and Chicago and every other major city, right? But we're in the suburbs and we're going to have a great time. That's where we live. That's where we're based. And we've got a beautiful theater. It only seats 350 people, and already over 100 seats are gone. But that's Friday night, October 3rd, Saturday the 4th, with Gordon Chang, myself, Sidney Powell, Alex Newman. We got a great lineup. Worldviewstore.com for full details. Worldviewstore.com. So you should go ahead and get those if you want them. Now, what I want you to put on your calendar, which I have not mentioned yet, because I wasn't sure we were going to do it or not, and that is our Thursday night banquet. Our Thursday night banquet. And I'll be doing a few numbers with my piano player, and then we're going to have a keynote speaker that night too. I'll be announcing who the keynote speaker is very soon. But here's the beautiful thing, where we're holding it. It is a facility that has the best steaks, bar none, in the Mid-South. I love a good steak, and I have eaten at a lot. In the 20 years I've been back here, I've eaten at a lot of the restaurants. This place has the best steaks, and they have a beautiful banquet ballroom as well. They also have great chicken that they marinate and grill, and they have salmon, and the salads are fresh, and the baked potato. This is one of the places my wife and I love to go. We went there, in fact, the other night. And I didn't know they had a ballroom. I said to my wife, that place has got the best food. Our people would love it, but too bad they don't have a ballroom. And I said, I don't think they do. We've come in here for years. I've never seen a ballroom. But I said, you know what? There's a hallway down that hall. Wonder what's down that hall. So I got up and I walked down the hall. Big, long hall, formal hall, like a formal hall you walk down like in a nice ballroom, like, some of the facilities we've used in Milwaukee and stuff, right? At the end of the hall was two big double doors. I'm like, I wonder what's back there. The doors were unlocked. I opened them up. Big, beautiful ballroom. I came back to the table and said, you won't believe this. They got a big, beautiful ballroom back. I thought this was just a restaurant with a few small rooms. They got a big, beautiful ballroom back there. Well, Melissa said, these folks that are coming here would love this food just like we do. It's so good and so fresh. I said, you bet. So we worked a deal, talked to their owner's daughter today. So if you want to go ahead and book, just circle that Thursday night, okay? Just circle that Thursday night for our annual foundation banquet concert. We've added in a speaker this year. Circle that. We'll let you know when that can be secured, your ticket to that evening, okay? It'll be, again, a nice banquet. The food, this is going to be the best we've ever had. Ooh, you guys are going to love it, all right? So put that down. All right. Let's get to this issue of truckers, because there's a bill being considered in Arkansas. And when I heard this today, I thought, this sounds like what Phyllis Schlafly, now Phyllis Schlafly has passed away several years ago. And I thought, this sounds exactly what I have an audio recording of, many recordings I have of Phyllis Schlafly in our vault. But she was specifically in one of my interviews warning about NAFTA and the NAFTA highway, the superhighway, and trucks coming over from Mexico that shouldn't be on our roads, drivers that should not be driving those trucks. Well, you got to hear what is being said about Arkansas. The Arkansas Trucking Association's full-on backing of the Biden-Harris Trucking Action Plan. This is why we're seeing a flood of non-citizen trucks on Arkansas highways. Well, not just Arkansas. This is not limited to just Arkansas, but it happens to be a committee in Arkansas where one of the members of the Arkansas Truckers Association is testifying. I believe that's who he's with, but he's not a happy camper. Listen to this, folks.
Thank you. If you'll identify yourself for the record. Yes, sir. I'm Harvey Beach. I'm one of the co-founders of American Truckers United.
Okay, that's who he's with. America Truckers United. Okay, listen to this.
And my family has been in the trucking business in Arkansas for 43 years. I'm going to really quickly try to give you guys some facts and then also speak to the enforcement language that was in 1745. Some facts. The American Trucking Association advised our federal government that it was okay to give non-citizens what's called a non-domiciled CDL. And it's important to note that a non-domiciled CDL cannot even be used to board an airplane in our country. The Biden administration, with their open borders policy and under the advisement of the American Trucking Association, created the Biden Trucking Action Plan in 2021. And the results of that plan flooded hundreds of thousands of unvetted non-citizens into the long-haul trucking segment. The majority of these folks cannot read, speak, or understand English. And again, I would like to point out a non-domiciled CDL.
Okay, now, I want to stop right there for a second. Because I know we got Alan listening. Alan's an over-the-road trucker. I guarantee you, Alan, if you're listening, text me, will you? Alan texts me all the time. Alan, if you're driving behind the big rig, then don't do it. But Alan is one of the long-haul guys that listens to me every day, and he sends me news stories frequently. This is not who I'm talking about. Guys like Alan and our over-the-road truckers, like this gentleman here who is with an organization representing American truckers, these guys are the ones concerned for their own safety on the road, that of their family and friends, and themselves. Because you have our government, the Biden regime, giving these CDL license to non-citizens. They're not citizens of the U.S., and as you're going to hear, they cannot speak English, many of them. They can't read our road signs. And are they not taking jobs from Americans? Now, I would like to know, and I'm going to have to do some research, how this fits in with Agenda 21, Agenda 2030, NAFTA, the NAFTA highway, the superhighway, everything that Phyllis Schlafly was warning our audience right here about had to be close to 20 years ago. 15 years ago. She was warning about this.
Not be used to board an airplane in our country. The American Trucking Association and the Arkansas Trucking Association endorsed the Biden Trucking Action Plan. Since that plan has been put in place, there has been an effort by the American Trucking Association to pass bills in as many states as possible that allow for non-domiciled CDLs and even non-domiciled learners permits, which was in the original draft of House Bill 1745. I want to talk about the enforcement language. The employment authorization document, which I realize they just amended the bill. Most, if not all, of these folks that possess non-domiciled CDLs already have that document. So requiring that does nothing to help.
I apologize, Mr. Beach, your time is up, but
Okay.
I think there will be some questions from the committee.
I'm against 1745 because it does nothing to fix our problems on our roadways.
Okay, what on House Bill 1745 are you against, Mr. Beach, or your association?
The lack of taking drivers off of our roads that cannot read and understand our road signs and our temporary warning signs. There's been a drastic increase in fatality and injury accidents caused by big trucks, and we believe this is one of the root causes for it, sir.
Hello. Isn't that what I was just talking about? Now, how many outlets are going to report this to you? Probably not many, because a lot of them don't know about it. But I guess it's not politically correct to talk about non-citizen truck drivers that cannot read the signs in our American English language, which, by the way, English is now again the official language. Donald Trump signed an executive order. I know we have a lot of over-the-road truckers who maybe want to call in today on this one. I bet they see some scary things and hear stories, right? But I guarantee you this is connected right back to the idea of a North American Union, merging America and Canada and Mexico, and just one big highway from Mexico all the way through the U.S. up into Canada, just like Phyllis Schlafly was warning years ago. And of course, it's dangerous and taking U.S. jobs.
But with Brannon, it's always cutting edge stuff happening in the world. And it's not just from the political angle, because you can get that on other platforms, but it's always from the biblical angle. So you're dealing with a guy that loves Jesus, you're dealing with a guy that's very intelligent, you're dealing with a guy that is cutting edge conservatism, and you're dealing with a guy that wants to be biblical all at the same time. And so for that reason alone, I hope many, many people will not just lift up his ministry in prayer, but will also financially get behind it, because from the angle I'm trying to describe, he really is the only game in town. And we desperately need it in these last days. Can I get an amen to that?
All right, welcome back. We're going to open the phone lines here in just a minute. But I would like to go back to this hearing on Senate Bill 1745 in Arkansas, unless, again, you think this is just an Arkansas issue. It isn't. It isn't. This is a national issue, and I guarantee you this is being talked about in some other states. Let's pick it back up here.
Okay. Questions? Yeah. Senator Rice?
And what you're saying is what it looks like in this bill is requiring some documentation that's not required now, makes it look like they're doing something that they're really not. Is that what
The most recent amendment, they took out the employment authorization
Is your
document.
microphone on?
I'm sorry, I'm back away from it.
Yes.
The most recent amendment, I believe they removed the employment authorization document language, because that's the very document that has been given to asylum seekers that they use to go get the non-domiciled CDL. So all of these people on our roads in big trucks that can't read and understand our road signs and temporary warning signs, they already have that document, sir.
Okay, well, I would agree with you. I don't come into contact with that many, but I've come into contact with ones that can't understand English good enough to have a conversation that's delivered to me, and I've seen some of the things on the road. So, Mr. Chair, I hope the sponsors can answer some of the concerns of this, because I don't want to do harm that's already been being done.
All right, we'll stop it there. There's more to that. But what about the other states? Again, we'll open the phone lines here up in just a minute. And I bet you maybe we'll hear from some folks that are over-the-road drivers that know exactly what it is we're talking about right here, right now. We'll do a little more digging and find out how this might play into the NAFTA highway and those things. Okay. Let's see what else we got I wanted to talk to you about real quick. Secretary Hegseth orders Pentagon to focus on preparing for war with China over Taiwan. Now, I've booked Gordon Chang to be a keynote speaker at our October 3rd and 4th conference here in the Mid-South. And now you know why. I don't know what's going to happen between now and October. I wish I did, but I don't. But I knew, and I know, that China will be more and more in the news, I believe, related to many issues that our country is facing. And now you've got the head of the Pentagon saying that the Pentagon is going to continue focusing on preparing for war with China. Now, this is something that's been going on for a few years, by the way, the focusing on war with China. But it seems to be ramping up. What else do we have? Russia says it will not accept ceasefire proposal in its current form and sign Ukraine peace talks may have stalled. So again, we have the talk now, continued talk of drafts in Europe. Continued talk of drafts in Europe. These people apparently really want to go to war over there. Some say it's because they need to cover how bad the economy is and they need to go to war. They need more government money. And that's Fabian socialism. When there's a dip in the economy, the government becomes the primary spender. Let's see, what else do we have? I listened to a really interesting article today, or interview today, with Mike Rowe. I don't know how many of you know who Mike Rowe is. He's a gentleman that had, I guess he had a TV show. I don't even know what it was called. I'm sure many of you in the audience do, but I don't know that I've ever seen his show, but I've seen him interviewed many times. And he talks a lot about, well, common sense things, like not everybody needs to go to college. That's one of the things he talks about. He talks about the trades, skills, getting a skill, learning a skill or a trade. The fact that so many of our Dirty Jobs, I guess is the name. Thank you, Dalton. Dirty Jobs is the name of his show. Well, he did a recent interview with Moms for America. I want you to hear a little bit of this because this goes right in with what I have talked about with this audience for so many years, particularly since I read the book in the late 80s, early 90s, The Millionaire Next Door. Now, at that time, your average millionaire was in a service-oriented business. And again, I'm not here to tell you, go to college, don't go to college. That's up to you. I have my personal opinions about it. I didn't encourage Logan to go to college because I said, I think if you learn TV production and these kind of things, and you want to come work for me, I think you'll make a very good income, very good living. And if for some reason I decide to retire someday, I think you'll have a skill set you can take somewhere else. And I've encouraged this audience to look into welding and plumbing and carpentry and, being an electrician. These are jobs that you could, while your friends get out of college and have 6 figures in debt, you'll be out making great money with no debt. And I believe this is one thing AI is not going to replace, right? A lot of these labor jobs, maybe some of the factory jobs, robots or whatever will do, we'll see about that. There's a lot of manual labor, skilled, highly skilled jobs that the service-oriented businesses that still require a physical human being. And there's right now a huge shortage. Listen to what he had to say.
But it's important to read because it's true. And the stat that sticks with me and worries me today is 7.2 million able-bodied men today in their prime working years are not only unemployed, they're affirmatively...
Is this just in the United States?
Yes.
7.2 million?
7.2 million. This number has never existed in peacetime before.
Yeah.
But right now, 7.2 million men officially not even looking. Now, that's bad, but what's worse is the answer to the question, well, what are they doing? Are they volunteering with the JCs, the Kiwanis Club, the Lions Club, the Boy Scouts, Skills USA, 4-H? Are they involved with their church? 2,000 hours a year on average on screens.
Another big issue with moms.
I bet. So, look, all problems are micro and macro.
Right.
Micro works as my foundation. Micro's me. I try and keep it small and granular. So each one of those 7.2 million men, frankly, I'd like to talk to them. I'd like to show them.
How do we find them?
I'd like to show them the work. I'd like to say, look, do you understand that there's more to a job than the paycheck? Do you understand
No, they
what's
don't.
happening
But
to
this
you?
is why.
Wow. 7, and this is a stat we have given here in the last few months. So I know this stat. We've talked about this stat. 7.2 million American men, they are missing from the workforce and they are not looking. But did he say they're spending 2,000 hours a year staring at a screen? And I think that's very interesting what he just did there. He didn't just say, hey, these guys are missing. They're not looking for work. But I'd like to visit with them and explain to them that this is not just about a paycheck. This is about who you are as a person. This is about having worth and value in your life. This is about being an example to other people. How many of these, by the way, how many of these 7.2 million are married? How many of them are fathers? How many of them want to get married? Well, that's a big problem. A lot of them don't. A lot of them don't want to get married. A lot of them don't want to have children. But for those who do, how are you going to provide for your family? You really think, here's something. A lot of these, I hear a lot of the guys complain about the lack of qualified gals to date or court or marry. And I'm sure that's the case. I hear that there are girls that complain today about the lack of serious, mature men to even consider for courting or dating and marrying. Well, when you have 7.2 million of them that are out of the workforce and aren't even looking, that's not serious people. That's not mature, responsible, serious people. Not when so many women, by I think their God-given natural inclination, is to marry someone for security, protection, provision. If men are competing for a small pool of high quality potential spouses, which they are, there is a very small pool available today for many young men to choose a spouse from. Well, if that's the case, it's like getting a job. If there's a small pool to choose from, you might want to make sure your resume is good enough to attract someone in that pool that you're looking to marry from. And it might start with actually being an adult, being a man, being responsible, being mature, having a job, a skill, a course in life. I'm stunned often that I married who I married. I knew what I was looking for. I've known, I told my wife the other day, I said, "Hun, do you know that before I ever knew you, I thought about you regularly? I knew what it was I wanted in a wife. I knew I wanted to marry someone that was wanting to be a homemaker, to build a home, to make a home, who had class and style, to want to do that. I didn't want to marry a feminist. I didn't want to marry a feminist. I wanted to marry someone that wanted to get married, be a wife, be a mother, work with me, with my organization. When I was a kid, I knew early elementary school, I knew what I wanted. I wanted a beautiful, blonde, blue-eyed gal. And it wasn't just about her beauty inwardly, but outwardly, but also inwardly. I knew what I was looking for. Poor guys today, that's a smaller pool to draw from. But the gals are the same situation. But I've said to my wife before, why, such an attractive gal with a nice, easygoing, laid-back personality, why did you choose me? Well, she said a few reasons, but one of them, here's what she said: I knew you would be a good provider. That's what she said. I knew you would be a good provider. I think that's a God-given thing that many women, whether they know it or not, consider. I would just wonder how many know that's already ingrained in their DNA. Well, where are the men? 7.2 million of them are missing. And then we got illegals taking our jobs. 1-800-347-9829. Phone line's open. Hello, I'm Brannon Howse. Melissa and I have been taking Bella Grace, this powerful elixir, since last fall, 2023. The results have been amazing. My hands would crack and bleed, deep cuts and cracks every winter for years. No matter what we did, we couldn't get them to stop cracking and bleeding. This year, I took Bella Grace, no cracking, no bleeding. My acid reflux, gone. Haven't had to take a Pepsid. My hair growth, the last 2 times I had my hair cut, the lady had to use thinning shears on my hair. That's amazing. We've also received incredible feedback from you, our listening audience, and the impact it's had for you. This is loaded with astaxanthin. That's a powerful antioxidant. Collagen, but top grade collagen. Studies show 95% of it is being absorbed in the body because of the way they develop it. Then we have something called cat's claw. That's an anti-inflammatory from a vine in Peru. It's the bark, and it's an anti-inflammatory. There are about 80 clinical trials on Bella Grace. Please get a subscription now and save. MelissaHousebg.com. Phone lines 1-800-347-9829. I just got an email. Carl said, I just told a plumber who did a job for me that he was more important than any PhD college professor. Yep. Let's go to, well, particularly with what the Marxism most college professors are teaching, that's for sure. 1-800-347-9829. Let's go to Elvin, line 1. Elvin in Texas. Hello, Elvin.
Hey, Brendan, how you doing today?
Great, thank you for calling.
Great. Hey, I'm a truck driver also. I'm driving on speakerphone right now, so just
thank you.
I'm being safe. But about a week and a half ago, I don't know if it made national news or not, in Texas, down in Austin, just north of Austin, there was a Somali. He couldn't speak English, anything, but anyway, he had drugs in the system. Oh. He killed an entire family of 4 in a construction zone. They say because he couldn't understand the construction signs. He killed an entire family of 4. The media posted it as far as down here, they posted that 4 people killed in the incident, but they don't tell you it was the entire family. Father, wife, young child, and the infant, I think it was. So wow. It's just like, you can look it up. It was pretty big news in Austin and down here in Texas. So.
Well, I'm sure it was, Elvin. And, you know, Elvin, so you joined me in being concerned about this from a safety standpoint, but then there's taking jobs. And of course, if you have a bunch of people coming into the country taking jobs that shouldn't be grabbing these jobs, now you end up with a flooded pool of drivers, which drives wages down. We cannot be doing that to our American over-the-road professional drivers, right?
Exactly. So I deliver brand new trucks, auto hauler, and the rates are real low because a lot of Serbians, a lot of foreigners come in. You're trying to talk to them, they look confused, when they're trying to locate the units to put on their truck, and they can't speak a word of English. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, how does this guy even drive and he can't even speak? So one of the requirements of DOT that you have to be able to write and articulate English to be able to drive, in a CDL, so wow. It's baffling.
Well, obviously, Elvin, we have hit a nerve because all the phones are lit up today on this topic. So, Elvin, thank you. Thank you for what you do. And thank you for calling in today. I think of the song by Alabama, Thank You, America, sending it on down the line. Remember that song from the 80s, thanking the American worker? We've got to get back to that. We've got to get back to valuing guys with skill sets. And if you've never driven an 18-wheeler, and the closest I've come to is my however many years since 2003 until 2018 driving a 45-foot motor coach, that's with diesel pusher and jake brake and all of it. That's the closest I've come. That's a lot different than backing up a rig with it's a skill. It is a huge skill, and it's a huge responsibility. And these are jobs we need to maintain for those who have the skill set to do it. But it's got to go to Americans for multiple reasons we've already discussed. Let's see what others think, because the phone lines are lit up over this. Phil, line 4. Phil, you are a 5th-generation driver. Is that right, Phil?
Yes, actually, my family goes all the way back to the Wells Fargo wagons. So, yeah, we go way back. And I will tell you, my dad's been an owner-operator with Landstar, and the rates have plummeted for him. He made more in the 90s than he makes today because, you've got so many guys that are out on the road that don't know what they're doing, that are just flooding the market, can't read, write, or speak English, like you said. But here's the other thing. The pre-trips that they do, a lot of these illegals aren't checking these trucks. I used to yard containers. There would be guys that would hook up to a container or the chassis, not even look at it. One of the mechanics said one time that a driver came to get a light changed, and the brake chamber was completely cracked. These guys don't care. They grab a trailer, they grab a container, and they go. And that scares me. And you wouldn't believe how many people are sitting there playing with their phones, watching. I've seen some of these guys literally with their phone on the dash, their feet up on the dash, and they're watching a movie while they're driving down the road.
Oh.
There is no pride in trucking with these foreigners that are coming in because they don't care.
Well, Logan just sent me
don't.
Logan just sent me the headline. 2 lawsuits, including one seeking $100 million, filed in deadly I-35 crash in Austin, Texas. Wow.
Yeah, it's almost scary to be in the truck right now, to be honest with you. I'm 5th generation, and I don't know if I'd want my son to be a 6th generation. He rode with me picking up milk from farms, but I don't know if I want him in the truck, to be honest.
Well, and you can imagine while I'm saying, we're going to be driving up to Milwaukee and hopefully we'll be safe, because I'm reading these reports last night and this morning thinking it's getting more dangerous on our interstates.
Oh, I know, trust me. And depending on where you're going, I mean, when you're in the bigger cities, Chicago, when you're in Milwaukee, between the people that are in the four-wheelers and some of these guys that don't have, legitimate licenses, hopefully I'll see you.
Yeah, I hope so too. Let's go. Thank you, Phil. Let's go to Ray in Kansas, line 2. Hi, Ray.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
Oh, goodness. What the other guy just said there. First, I should probably recommend to anyone that's interested, the Owner-Operators Independent Drivers Association out of Missouri. They handle a lot of things you're talking about. As far as experience, don't you know that truck drivers are considered inexperienced below forklift drivers on the spectrum of work? They don't even qualify. I'm one of the 77.2 million men that's I'm homeless. I should be retiring as a truck driver right now, but these companies have no accountability whatsoever. Swift Transportation was skimming my pay. D&D Sexton fired me. J.B. Hunt stole $5,000 under warranty in 1 month. 1 month that I was working for J.B. Hunt, they stole $5,000 on warranty parts. No accountability whatsoever for these companies. They have 3 rules they have to follow. The drivers have 4,000. And you get these people that don't care about driving whatsoever out here steering wheel holding. There's nothing keeping these drivers safe out there for themselves. This is the only job in the world, besides the military, that you can go to prison for the rest of your life just doing your job the way you're supposed to be doing it.
Wow. Ray,
I probably shouldn't say,
Ray,
but
awesome.
I was a truck driver for Swift Transportation.
Thank you, Ray. Let me go real quick. Dave from Kansas, or from Minnesota, 26-year trucker. Go, Dave.
Yeah, hey, Brandon. I'm just agreeing with these guys all day long. I mean, I've been in truck stops out here where there's 50, 60 trucks parked, and I'm telling you what, right here, you can count on one hand. I've been there. You can count on one hand the guys in there that are speaking English, reading English, writing English, and are probably American citizens.
So what you're saying is we got American citizens that don't know how to speak? Is that what you're saying?
Well, that's possible, too, and that can't, I just don't see how that can happen, Wow. I mean, this is...
Take care, guys.
This has been...
apparently we have to do more on this because the phone line's lit up on this topic. He's saying illegals are driving. He's saying it's rare to find Americans even driving? That's what he was saying. Okay. It's rare to even find Americans driving is what he was trying to say. Wow. Now he's up in Minnesota. Dave, 26-year truck driver. Well, apparently we're going to have to revisit this. Probably tomorrow. I'll tell you something. I don't know who they're selling these big trucks to. You guys want to see something? Now, there is a part... There is a part of me that would love to drive a big rig like this. When I was a kid, I wanted to do multiple things. Well, one of them was be a truck driver. 18-wheeler. But I got the chance to kind of get a lot of that out of my system driving a motor coach all over the country, but not quite the same thing. But there's still a part of me who would like to take a year or two and drive one of these for those watching by television. This is a Kenworth. This is a navy blue, beautiful blue, extended cab. I mean, you can't believe. Look this up online, folks. Look up the super cab. This is a gorgeous cab. But they now are making them so families, a husband and wife, I'm assuming, and maybe even some young kids that you're homeschooling, can go on the road. And this video, they're about to walk us on board. It's like an RV. So they have an extended cab where you can sleep, but you can also, I'm pretty sure you're going to have a shower in a lot of these. But you got a refrigerator as you get on board. You can see a refrigerator. You got ovens. You got a sleeping area. Now, I don't see, I'm not seeing a shower or bathroom in that one, but I have seen them. Now, to me, that would be the, wait a minute, maybe that's what it is. I don't know, right, that door right there. Like, see what's behind that door right there. But to me, that would be the kicker. If all you have to do is stop at the truck stops to get your diesel, and you don't have to use the bathrooms and showers, but you have one in your extended cab there, like some of them are making these, now that opens up the door to a possibility for probably a lot of people like me that's like, I'm not doing that if I have to go use the truck stop showers and bathrooms. But if you got that on board, wow. Now, how ironic. There it is. Exactly. There it is. It is. There's a shower and bathroom in that thing. Other than stopping for your diesel, folks, that's it. You get back in your cab and go. Yeah. But here's the thing. How are you affording those cabs, even as an independent trucker, obviously, if the rates are crashing because they flooded the market with the illegals and cheap labor? How many people are going to afford those? There you go. All right, Logan, show that again. We now have a Ryder truck, right, Logan? It's a Penske truck that has just crashed and flipped over. Several people injured after box truck mowed down pedestrians before crashing on sidewalk in Boston. Unclear if the act was intentional. Well, I guess we'll find out, won't we? Something to me says if they're driving down unless the driver had a heart attack, a medical emergency, if you're driving down the sidewalk, it sounds like to me intentional. But again, it could just be a medical emergency. The driver was having a heart attack or stroke or passed out, who knows? But how ironic, that's a breaking news story right now. All right. If you guys appreciate everything that we're doing, we need your support. Worldviewfoundation.com. Worldviewfoundation.com. We need to hear from you guys. We have some great things in store that I can't announce yet, but we need support to do it, to keep expanding. Worldviewfoundation.com. So we keep pushing it out for free for everybody to hear and enjoy and benefit from, right? We got to hear from you, folks. 1-800, or what am I giving an 800 number? Worldviewfoundation.com, worldviewfoundation.com. Now, don't show my screen, but I want to read what I just got from someone in Island Lake, Illinois. They're listening to the show. Your statement is so true about the unemployed men. My son is 42 and is unemployed and non-believer. He has worked for companies that treat their employees poorly. He has no hope. People are not valued. I've experienced the same thing. Our culture does not value human beings nor widows. She's a widow now. She's had a hard time finding work the last 13 years due to her age. And been out of work for a while. And finally got a job. Glad to hear that. But my wage has been cut 50% and no benefits. My wages are less than I was making 15 years ago. You see, folks, this is one reason why we have to keep our network free. There are a lot of people that listen to us that can't afford to support us. They can't afford to get behind a paywall. And I don't want to do that to them. But if you have been blessed Give us your support so we can keep this available for everybody. We're coming back to this topic tomorrow. We clearly have hit a nerve. The phone lines went nuts on this. We'll be back on this tomorrow. Take care.
You're watching Worldview 2, built on the 35 years of Worldview books, documentaries, research, high-profile interviews, and the radio and television broadcasts of Brannon Howse.
Colonel Rob Maness has a lifelong record of providing dedicated service to this nation. Having worked his way up from the enlisted ranks to full colonel, he served our country for more than 32 years. He has served as a bomber squadron commander, bomb disposal technician, Joint Chiefs of Staff Operations Officer, assisted the National Security Team with the campaign plan for the global war on terrorism. He authored the first theater nuclear war plan and served as the Vice Commander of America's largest airborne intelligence wing. Colonel Rob Maness is a true American hero. This is Rob Maness Live.
Fortunately, the last administration left us with a terrible economy. They left us with sky-high prices. They left us with home values that had doubled in just 4 short years, meaning a lot of American families couldn't afford to buy or to rent a home. They left us with a historic debt crisis. Did you know that in the history of the United States of America, we have never had deficits and debt so high as we had under Joe Biden's leadership? And what did all that peacetime debt and deficit, what did all that spending, what did all that waste and fraud get us? It got us an economy where Americans couldn't afford to buy a home, our families couldn't afford to buy groceries, and our people felt like the American dream was slipping away. Now that is the bad news, but now we can talk a little bit about the good news, because I'm proud to say that thanks to all of you, on January 20th, 2025, we started a great American comeback.
Investments in the Trump economy. Welcome to Training Tuesday again. The Rob Maness Show's live on Worldview Tube. Our X-Spaces simulcast is up. Rumble, YouTube, Truth Social Plus, Amazon Fire, Apple TV now, and Roku. Well, news on the economic front is looking up, even though, as J.D. Vance said, and I'll quote him again, the last administration left us with a terrible economy. They left us with sky-high prices. They left us with home values that had doubled in just 4 short years. In the history of the United States of America, we have never had deficits and debt so high as we had under Joe Biden's leadership, close quote. Well, fortunately, we have started the great American economic comeback. Economic reporting in just the last few weeks shows the economy is recovering from Biden's disastrous policies. We're seeing the lowest core inflation in 4 years, experiencing the lowest mortgage rates since December of 2024, and gas prices and airfares are down. President Trump has won over $5 trillion in new investments from manufacturing industries returning to the United States, reigniting our manufacturing base with a positive outlook for future economic growth once again. But even with these economic indicators, recent reporting also shows many conservatives are still concerned about their financial future due to the current state of the economy. Many are searching for safer, more reliable investing choices because of the geopolitical concerns affecting the global markets, America's market, and record amounts of debt held by consumers and corporations, not to mention the countries. Formerly seen as the foundation of many retirement portfolios, traditional stocks and bonds are now being recognized as susceptible to inflation, market declines, and other economic upheavals. That's where today's guest comes in. Alexander Spillane is the CEO of Fisher Liberty. As of yesterday, it was Fisher Capital, but today it's Fisher Liberty, a new name, and helps investors find the right places to put their investments as economic uncertainty continues to be the overall trend. Fisher Liberty is a full-service, conservative-owned and operated precious metals, gold, and silver investment company that specializes in IRAs. Alexander is also the host of the Right Wing Voice podcast and a rising voice in the conservative movement who has earned a reputation for his really sharp financial acumen and ability to make complex economic concepts accessible to his audience. Welcome to the Rob Maness Show, Alexander.
Rob, great to be with you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's great. I appreciate you coming on. We met in person just a few weeks ago, but I had heard of your company and have seen what they were doing. But I have to ask, how does a guy that's a musician become the CEO of a really high-performing, it appears to me, precious metals investment company?
The story is it's a good question. Sounds like, you might have done some research on me, and I hadn't done my research on you. I want to say thanks for your service, Colonel, because you've got quite that background yourself. The truth is that I actually have, as I've gotten more successful in business, I've happened to meet a lot of high performers who still play their instruments. I still play guitar and I still sing, and I enjoy it, but I moved to Los Angeles to pursue entertainment, and I'll tell you, the industry just didn't align with the conservative values I have. So, I just pursued a career in something that I thought was going to actually allow me to work with people who shared the same beliefs that I do. And that's ultimately the most rewarding part of me owning a precious metals company, is that when you look at the key attributes that gold provides for clients, its ownership, its legacy, its privacy. I mean, all the things that we value as conservatives, and it really is more of like a lifestyle decision than a financial one sometimes, right? Because at the end of the day, we have a right to take back control of our finances, and where a lot of people have their money, unfortunately, is either in. I mean, you're in the military, so you know about the TSP system, government managed retirement plan. Then you've got clients who are invested in BlackRock funds and with Vanguard. And I mean, I could go on and on about, the perils that people face, but I think that the importance here is voting with your wallet. So people who actually believe that the government spending has become reckless, and they've noticed that long before Doge got involved. I've got my dark MAGA hat on today. I'll tip that to Elon Musk. Long before people got involved with doing the research, I think they had a gut feeling that just something wasn't right. And the problem is with these type of investment vehicles, they restrict you and force you into one area, which are just stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. So the reason you see millions of people waking up and looking at alternatives, whether it be gold and silver or even cryptocurrency now, I think the reason you're seeing so many people flock into those investment classes is because they've lost faith in the system. And there's a lot of uncertainty.
Yeah. So that kind of leads to my second question, and this is about Fisher specifically, and other companies that do this. I've noticed it's hard not to. Other precious metal companies in this space are all over the independent media. So why gold? I mean, I think I understand the answer to the question, but I'll be honest, I'm a B economics student. So
yes,
why gold, silver, other precious metals? What makes them attractive in this environment that we find ourselves in?
The simple answer is that these are assets that have a finite supply. So if the government just keeps printing more and more money, and they keep dividing shares of individual stocks that you could buy in Wall Street, there is no finite supply. There's no shortage of those assets. And so when you have, these kind of tensions in the economy, you have all this uncertainty, and you have, just the math behind it that supports that we're going to have a pullback at some point, because we've become we've gone into a point where we're in a bubble. And that could be said about many asset classes, whether it's real estate or whether it's the stock market or whether it's cryptocurrency. I mean, this is the first time that we've seen gold hit this new all-time high. It hit $3,150 yesterday. But I think it's got a long way to go, and here's why. Because think about it this way. If gold didn't move at all, and keep in mind it's globally traded, if gold's price didn't change at all, but the dollar became weaker, it takes more dollars to denominate what 1 ounce of gold costs. Therefore, even if there's no influence or there's no more gold mined, and there's no shift in any of the availability of the asset in itself, it will still go up if the dollar goes down. And that's why it's regarded as one of the single best hedges against inflation that you can hold in your portfolio. The reasons I like gold, and I recommend it to my audience and to my clients, is for a few key reasons. Number one is I don't encourage people to buy gold with the intention of growing their money, right? And most of the people I'm talking to have this idea that they really want to shift from growth back into value because their retirement accounts right now are very close, if not at the highest balance they've ever seen them, just like where we were in 2007. So that's the cliff before the fall. That's how I see what's going on. When you've got warnings coming out from guys like Elon Musk saying that we're going to face some economic pain in order to implement these changes that will benefit our country long term. But in the short term, what we should expect is some economic pain and some headwinds. So if you want to shift from growth back into value, the best way to do that is go into assets that align with the principle of wealth preservation. And that's the only reason I recommend gold. I recommend it as a way for you to preserve and protect your money against some of these worst case scenarios. And the way it protects you is, number one, the assets are fully insurable because you own them outright. And the reason why there's a threshold on SIPC and FDIC insurance, for example, is because there's a lot of third party and counterparty risk when it comes to you holding those assets or being a beneficial owner of those assets. When you own gold outright, there's no one that can borrow against it. There's no one that can leverage it. So it actually eliminates that third party and counterparty risk. And it's also a form of money that's not attached to a central bank, nor is it coupled with a nation's debt. So in the worst case scenario, let's say the dollar loses its status as the world reserve currency, or it continues to lose value due to inflation, or we go in a hyperinflation scenario. And I got to say, these are not far-fetched scenarios because this has happened in other countries, whether it be Germany, Venezuela, Japan. I mean, we've seen currency crisis before. Larry Fink of BlackRock just issued an article or a report that came out of CNBC where he talks about how he believes Bitcoin's actually the biggest threat to the dollar as the world reserve currency. So, I mean, if that's coming from the largest asset manager in the world, you can't take that lightly. You've got to take that seriously, and you have to have something in your portfolio to protect against that. And I think it's just more important now than ever that people start taking those steps.
So from a pragmatic perspective, Alexander, how does this work? You specialize, according to your website, in gold and precious metal IRAs.
Yes, sir.
So if I had an IRA and I wanted to transfer it to gold or silver or a mixture of precious metals, and I own those assets outright, how does that work? Do I get a bunch of precious metals shipped to me to put in my vault?
Great question. Well, first and foremost, clients come to us with big portfolios, and they have a variety of different positions. Whether they have a cash in the bank, they've got a traditional brokerage, they have a Roth, a 401k, or an IRA. The truth is that the tax deferred accounts, in my opinion, I think are the ones that we create the most benefit for clients in. And there's two reasons I say that. Number one is, in my opinion, it's just easier to redirect the current investments a client has rather than, trying to focus on making a brand new purchase. And why is that? Because the client's already set aside the money they have invested for investment purposes. And oftentimes that will represent the majority, if not the entirety, of their life savings. So I believe that it's important that we place a high priority on those accounts to make sure that the client is in a good position for many years to come. But the truth is that once you have made the decision to move your IRA or 401k into gold, if you could snap your fingers right now and just direct your current financial institution to do that for you, it'd be a lot easier than the process that we have to do it. But what we've done is made it as simple as possible, despite that Wall Street's done something genius. They've restricted all the money to stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. There's not a single person I talk to that has an IRA or 401k that lets them hold physical gold. So step one is we got to get these clients the right vehicle. And that vehicle is called a self-directed IRA. A self-directed IRA is an account that allows you to hold all 7 asset classes that were approved by Congress back in the 1970s. So believe it or not, they never limited what you can hold to just these products that Wall Street has, right? But again, if you were to hold, let's say, real estate or cryptocurrency or gold and silver, how can these institutions make money off of those positions if they can't borrow against it and if they can't lend money out and leverage those positions somehow or make a fee or commission off of it? So that's why it's not a coincidence. It truly is by design. So step one is we get them the right vehicle. And I encourage our clients and anyone watching to do the research. If you look up a self-directed IRA, Forbes actually calls this the #1 retirement account that all wealthy people have. It's not uncommon to see positions where clients, Mitt Romney reportedly had a $120 million IRA. People ask, how do you get to those numbers? It's by being able to participate in higher profit asset classes instead of just being forced into one area. So it doesn't restrict you to stocks and bonds. You can go into real estate, private equity, other commodities and collateral assets, business and lending, and even cryptocurrency and physical gold and silver. So just like your cash in an IRA, you can't hold that and take possession of it until you take a distribution. So the metals, when you hold them in an IRA, they do get stored in an IRS recognized depository where it's fully insured. So step one is you set up that IRA. We take care of that process for our clients. There's actually no cost involved. I set up that promotion amongst this firm over the past couple of years to ensure that as many people could get their money out of harm's way as possible. Because the first thing that does for you is it allows you to roll your funds over into a FDIC insured and bank guaranteed cash position. When you move from a 401k or an IRA to a self-directed, it's a 3-step process. It's step one, you set up the account. Step two is you roll it over, and it's tax-free, penalty-free, and fee-free to move that money. And once the funds arrive, that's when we can actually help our clients diversify into different precious metals products. And just the same way, if you were to go in the stock market, you wouldn't buy all of one stock. I wouldn't encourage anyone to just buy one type of precious metals product. There's a variety of products that do different things. Some are better for short-term and long-term goals, and others are better for growth, and some have higher risk. It just really depends. So we really do a good job of making sure that we take all of our clients' goals into consideration, and we look at what's attractive and what's not, go through a process of elimination and exclusion, and we just whittle it down to the choices that make the most sense for their specific situation. And that's why we're able to back our service with a 100% satisfaction guarantee.
Outstanding. Well, we got to take a break, Alex. When we come back, we'll hear a little bit of a clip from Secretary Bessent on interest and mortgage rates, and continue this discussion about Fisher Liberty. We're with the CEO, Alexander Spillane, today. And this is an amazing company, and folks really need to take a really good look at it if you're considering moving your assets around and protecting yourself and hedging against this unstable economic times that we find ourselves in. We'll be right back on the Rob Maness Show.